All right, all you devils, how we doing out there? Sam here with you. It is January 15th, kind of middle of the day. And before we get on, I'm going to look at we're going to look at five crypto pairs here shortly, a bit of a theme to it. Before we do that, I've got a bit of an update for you here on what we've been calling TDU, Trade Devils University 2.0. I now have a landing page for you to visit, and I will post this link underneath the video here so you don't have to remember it, but it's pretty simple. It's V2, version 2, TradeDevils.com. That'll bring you over here to this landing page where we've got, we're committed to a launch date here, so you can see we've got a countdown timer working over here. So we're 27 days away from the official launch here. In the interim, we wanted to give you some more information about what we're doing, what's coming, and some of the new pricing options that you'll have with regards to becoming a member. So if you're interested, this is a particularly good time to come over here and kind of dig a little deeper here. So you'll bear with me here while I scroll down here. I'll let you guys read through some of this, but there are a few things I want to draw your attention to. I gotta use my mouse wheel here, so I'm going to go slowly. Okay, so first thing I want you to see that we've got some new pricing here. So as we have always offered, there will still be a free option for those that just want to kind of put a toe in the water and get a feel for the community. That will be one option for you. We are also now going to have a social option here that will get you into the community. That's $49 a month, and then our regular membership here is at $199 here. Now, what's nice here is underneath, you'll get a breakdown of everything that will be available to you within each of those particular plans. All right, one thing to make a point of here, if you're not sure, members will know about what the Devil's Dojo is, but that little click here will give you some more information about that. So scrolling down here, you'll see this again. Now, currently, you cannot enroll here. All you're doing, if you were to select here, you're getting on our mailing list so that you're in line for this pricing and some of the promotions that we'll be offering as we get closer to this rollout date. So this will just put you into an email list. Now, we're not going to spam the hell out of you. We just want to know you're interested so we can communicate to you as we get closer. So a couple of things to note. If you go through the enrollment process here, just name and an email address, you're going to get an email that's going to look something like this. Now, one thing we want to note here is that we're offering a $50 referral bonus for anyone. For example, if you refer someone in your universe of people or post it on your Twitter feed or any of your social media, we're going to give you a $50 referral kicker for anyone that joins up through your link. That link will be yours and will be a lifetime link tied to you forever, so you can use it at your discretion. So that's something, right? You get a couple, 2, 3, 4, right? You get your whole membership paid for. So something to think about. That will be available to you here, right? So you'll have that little link. Now, additionally here, this is something that I've kind of spoken to, but I wanted to just reemphasize this here. And again, I won't drone on for too long here, but I want you to be aware that we are, because of the promotion here, and we're kind of making an effort to do everything we can to take care of our original members, as we're calling them, the original members, right? People who have been with us for the last couple of years, or perhaps that have joined us just recently. We want to take care of all of those people for that loyalty. So we're offering some pretty attractive incentive bonuses here, or discounts, I should say. So, we've got a lot of people taking advantage of this because this is about as aggressive a pricing as we ever offer. But right now on the yearly, there's a 40% off. For the 6-month is 30, and the 3-month is 20% now. But the big bonus here is that regardless of anything that we release, any new products or any changes in that pricing structure, you are forever locked in at the original price points. So you'll get access to anything, every content, any indicators, any tool suite, things that we have been working on for the ninja stuff we've been working on for 9 months now. It's really looking very solid. We've got, 20, 25 people beta testing in with us. So that will be available to you. All of that will be available to you at no cost, and those tools are going to have they're not going to be inexpensive. But my point being, if you're an original member, you'll get access to all of those Ninja tools. Should you be interested in working with Ninja Trader for some day trading, that will be available to you. So it's a huge bonus here to be an original member. Now, you got to be a sustaining member, right? So you can't come in for $199 and then bolt after a month and then maintain all of that access. So it's, we got to be fair here. So it's a requirement that you maintain an active status, and you'll get access to all of that. right? So just so you know, that's something. You know, if you've ever been on the fence, this would be a particularly good time to take advantage of some of this promotional material. All right, so there you go. Come over, give it a read through. Again, it's v2 at TradeDevils.com, but I'll have a link just below that. Okay, with all that said, I think I've got everything I needed to cover there. Okay, so let's go over here and look at. So I've got five pairs here we're going to look at, and our theme here is that we're looking at forks. All right, with one exception, Ethereum Classic, as that is the original. So we're going to look at Bitcoin Dash, which, if you didn't know, Dash is a fork off of Bitcoin. We'll look at Satoshi Vision, Bitcoin Cash, and we're going to look at Ethereum Classic on two different exchanges because all the volume currently is on Binance, but to get some historical reference, we've got to look at, well, I'm going to use Kraken. All right, so let's start with Bitcoin here. Pull this off here. All right, so I deliberately left the Elliott count off of here, a couple of reasons. One, well, of course, members, we've got a number of different counts that are at play here. So that's available to you over on the site. But you know, people get so caught up in the Elliott wave. It's a love-hate kind of a thing, right? Every now and then I like to make the point to you that it is optional. It is not mandatory for success in applying what we're teaching here. So here you can see just absolutely textbook. Like, I can't make this shit up, guys. Like, so there, how do you get any more confluence than that? I don't know. So look what we have here. So I've got from my swing low here, low to my high coming up here. I've just tagged to the tick the 1618. Right. At the same time, from this swing, from this swing high to this swing low, we've just come into the golden zone. In addition, right, obviously, right, you can see it, right, we've just tagged the median line. In addition to that, from this swing low to this swing high, we come down, tag the 50 to the tick, we've just hit that algo target. That's about as fat as I can find for confluence. Oh, pardon me, I almost left one thing out. Look at the low volume node here at the golden zone. Amazing, right? Now, does that mean that we're from here now going down to get the target? Well, I mean, it's possible, right? So it's interesting here. I'm trying to leave the Elliott count out, but note here that we get a very slight overlap. So Elliottians will know that's a bit that changes how you're interpreting this movement here. So with that said, you know, again, massive confluence there. Just massive. So interesting, right? Again, we'll have a deep dive on this on Friday for the members. All right, so let's just keep moving here. Note, I'm not in log scale here as we're looking at that. Some of these we will be in log scale, but just kind of making that point here. You know, that's the kind of stuff you want to pay attention to. All right, let's switch over to Dash, which has been on just a rip, just a beautiful, gorgeous. Long been one of my favorites. I've been holding this forever. I just think this is going to be one of the major alts that will thrive, and it'll be in my view, it's going to be a part of our day-to-day experience, you know, in the not too distant future, as a medium of exchange. So here now, let's see, we got to pull. Let's pull back out here so you can get a look at it here. So I'm over on Binance here again because of the volume. So I'm not trying to do a detailed Elliott analysis with all of our history. I'm just saying, hey, this is one hell of a pump. Is there an Elliott count in there that would make sense? So let me go down to the hourly here, and again, we won't go into too much great detail here. It can be a little easier to spot it if you go to log scale. We certainly have the range to support looking at it in the log. So as I see it, it looks to me like we've got 1, 2, and now we've gone up here. So obviously you want to put the 3 in here, 4, and potentially now there's a push up for 5. I should say that I worked on this with Sensei Tutam, who's just an Elliott master, and we came through. This is the count that we agreed had the highest probability here. So it's a little tight. You've got a few spots here. So you wanted to go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But you can't have a triangle in a second. So it kind of forces you into this count, and then with the monster rip here, it looks like that's the extension of the internal third. That looks like the extension in the fifth of that to get you. So even just simple stuff like the Elliott oscillator, the RSI, and the Weiss wave on the volume, you can see this is a massive volume. There was all sorts of volume behind this pump, so it's an encouraging sign that potentially we've got what could be a substantial trend change here. Could be, right? We can't declare it yet, but it's certainly got the potential. So with that count here, now where are we? Well, one thing you want to note here when you get these massive pumps like this is that we get these big gaps where we just go so quickly through it. There's no chance for any support. Now you can see we're building some base here as we've stalled here, and we have a base here between the 38 and the 50. I know that's a little hard to see in the way that TradingView, kind of dims that a bit because it's outside of one standard deviation, but you can see it over here. It's just right between the 38 and the 50. So as we start to come back down, if we're going to do something traditional like that, here's the edge of there's the edge of that little volume node here that you might be looking for as a potential support zone where we could look for, and you can understand why, right? It's all tied to that little bit. Can I get you over here? Shit, maybe I can't. Yeah, fuck it. All right, so you get what I'm trying to get to. Sometimes TradingView, it's just annoying sometimes. I think it's because it's in Java. Okay, so here, this is relative to the high volume node here. So if we're coming back down to it, this little pivot here might be an interesting place to be looking for some support. Right, so one to have an eye on. Right, really encouraging to see that. Let's keep moving. Satoshi's Vision. I don't trade this one, but it's got one hell of a pump. So I got to take you back out to an 8-hour here. So I had to go a little unconventional here with the median lines or the pitchfork, in which we were trying to see if we could tie a theme of pitchforks into the forks. So I've got a perfect tag here. I had to go a little bit unconventional here in terms of the pivots that I was using, but you can see here that there really is just this one wick down here. This is one little pump wick down here. It comes right to the point of control here and all of this prior support. But note this get this out of here. Note this pivot here, how that was the pivot. So it's resistance. Yeah, we get the very short break, and then it holds again. Then you can see the whoops, that's not what I want. You can see the little low volume node sit there right to, because we don't have market acceptance here. So we come down and catch that. So that's worth looking at in terms of, often it's a little bit of trial and error to find out what they used, but that looks very promising here. And then we come, so there's the 100. Now, granted, I am in log scale, right? So duly noted that I get that perfect tag in the median there, median line right there in conjunction with the 100 and the 200 of the internal swing. So we've got good confluence there. Again, now you see the reaction having tagged the median line. We're coming back down, and then you can see the obvious area of support that you might run into, and that would be right on the edge of where we come back into that volume. There's nothing happen here, right? It's just up and down. So that's a spot to certainly be looking for, and you can maybe just some basic, wrong one, sorry, basic stuff here from the low to the high. That if we come down here, that's put us in between the 23 and the 38. Down to the 50, then I'd be looking at this one right here. Get a little structure. We'd have some more volume, what do I say, market acceptance here as we come down to hit that potential area of prior resistance, potentially now setting up for support at a 50. So you'd have a potential. Now, ideally, you'd like to see it do it in threes, right? And then you'd have the potential play up to, could be back up here to get to that, right, where we'd have the 2618 of the internal and the 1272 of the three pivots I'm using for the median line. So another one to be watching for. All right, again, I don't think there's any of these necessarily warrant a trade right now, but this is as we are setting up. You want to be monitoring here for the potential setup that's in play. Keep moving. Bitcoin Cash. Well, this is going to look similar to Bitcoin, obviously. Now. Here, I am in log scale here. So again, trying to stay consistent with our theme, there is a modified shift here that, so you can see here as we come up off of this corner here, well, here's where we get our 80%, hit it again. Now in this, we fail to get to the median line and we start to roll over. Log scale, we're back so against this, very much like Bitcoin. 50-50, we get that little spike down. But here the count is actually, I think, a little bit easier to read. It does look like we've got an A. We get that. Much like Bitcoin, we have this somewhat, well, it's not that unusual, right? Where we get the expanded B wave into the ABC of the B relative to this ABC coming down. So if this is A, B, and we come down for the C here, we've got a contender here for the 2, now the big rip. So let's go down to a little bit, go to an hourly here. So again, you got to have to back into it. So you can't go 1, 2, 3, right? It just doesn't work. So you got to go 1, 2, 1, 2. Then it's actually quite technical. So you can see here, if this is 1 and this is 2, We don't quite. Well, it was note here. Here's the 1618, 175. So you're tempted to put that there, thinking, oh, well, there's the high probability zone, but it doesn't work because you can't go 1, 2 into a triangle. So you got to keep the 3 up here so you can put the 4 here and give you the pump up for the 5. So what that means is, well, this should be. Let's take that up a degree. Oh, so we can see a little bit better. Okay, what that means is this is 1, 2. Now we've completed potentially. Right now, this is. Counts are fluid, but right now that certainly looks like what we've got here is a 1, 2 completed 3. So if we're thinking about retracement zones, we're going to pull from this 2 to this pivot here. So same kind of thing. Look at the gap over here in the volume profile, right? Between the 23 and the 38, it's just air, right? Just a vacuum. There's nothing there. So if we start to come down and break, expect a quick fall back down to this area, which would be pretty typical. So if we're going to get something along these lines, right? So you got a high volume node right here, right? That would be ideal. Would set you up for that potential move up to a target like that. But note here, you'd be looking for the 3. Well, this would have to come over here. The 3, the 4, and shit, I don't know where that 5 is. Up here. There we go. Right, so that's the count you're looking to try and complete, right? Would be just a very encouraging sign, right? Again, another, well, I guess we got to call Bitcoin Cash an alt. We'd have another, although Bitcoin Cash enthusiasts would probably slap me for saying that, but there you go. That's a potential trade that's setting up, right? So, and then of course you can always look left, right? We know that. So we look here for some of this to potentially kick in. So if this is going to keep coming down, right, coming into some of that prior resistance, a reasonable place to expect a little bounce, that would potentially, there's your A, your B, come down for the C, and off you go for the 5. All right, let's keep moving here, trying to do this quickly. Now, here's where, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Got to go out to some longer term here to get this. Got to stay in log scale. Let's see, maybe I have to go to a 12. Okay, so here we can see it a little bit better. So here's Ethereum Classic, another one of my faves, right? Long-term holder here. So for off the low, and again, I don't have all the history here, but here on Kraken, so we know people I don't use Kraken that often, right? Although I do have an account there, but I've got a clear 5 coming up here. Now this one, you got to kind of back into this. So the 5 here, we're potentially now we have all of the ingredients to have finished something here. I've got a clear impulse coming down, and note, I mean, I'm assuming, right? I don't have to review this here, right? To a note here. Look, back down to a golden zone. What do we have at the golden zone? Low volume node, right? No market acceptance. So we tag it, bounce back, tag it again. So working backwards, if that's a 5, and I'm potentially finishing here. Can I ask backward into it, work from the 5 to the 4? Do I have an A, B, C here? Yeah, I got an A, B, and I get an impulse. Yep, I do get an impulse here into the C. Working backwards, I'm far enough for the 3. But what I don't like, and it's funny, I remember sent me a chart the other day, or just yesterday, of something in Bitcoin that was a little, it was unusual, right? So he was thinking outside of the box, and I was telling him I just didn't love the symmetry between what he had proposed between the lack of symmetry and the dramatic extreme difference here between the length of the C relative to the A, and well, even just the length of time of the A and the B. But working backwards here, I've got such a clean impulse here. You're kind of left, right? That's the only option you've got left, to unlike what we were looking at in Bitcoin, or what he and I were going back on. There's a number of different ways you could interpret this, and this probably could be counted multiple ways as well. But I think because of the 5 working backwards, this is pretty solid. I can get my impulse in the 3, 1, 2. That's perfectly technical. I mean, the whole thing is so we go, here's the 50. We get third target here, so you know that's going to be close to the 1618. If I'm not mistaken, it's right on it. So right here, all right, so here. Right, so here's that high probability window for a wave 3 right there between the 1618 175. That's what we do. And again, talk about confluence. We put a toe into the golden zone as we're in the high probability zone for a wave 3, and then that gives us the three waves into the 4. So that's a high probability candidate for the 3, working off of the 2 to the 4. If I get right on that, right, so we're right to the 50. Come down here. Now, interestingly here, so from this, right, we come to the 50. If that's going to be our pivot, then the target is denied, right? As I try to remind you, just because we have a target and just because there's a reaction at a 50 doesn't mean reaching that target is inevitable. Right, at this point, it looks like perhaps we've got a good pivot here, which would set up a 1-2. Again, symmetry makes you hesitate just a touch, but the count is clean. So coming out of that, right, so a double bottom into the golden zone, that's encouraging. Well, so let's, because again, the volume is on Ethereum Classic is much, much higher over on Binance. So with regards to making a trading decision, I'd want to look at it over on Binance. Or if I were going to trade it, but we can't look at all of that history here. So all I've got is just, well, since it listed on Binance here. So let me, I think an hourly will do this. So all I'm trying to do is see what the count looks like off of this low. So this well, let's call it, I don't want to call it a pump, right? I mean, it's an aggressive move off of this low. We say it that way. So you can get an impulse here. You get the extension in the 1, 2, 3 shorter than 1, but 5 shorter than 3. So you've got a contender here for the 1 ABC into the 2. Yet again, you got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a big rip in the 5. So it looks like you've got 1, 2, 3 may well have completed here, bumping into the 50 from above. So you got a contender. This looks like very typical, you're starting into a wave 4. So what you're looking for is something like this. But again, you got to pay attention to where you've got the big holes here on the volume profile, because if we start to come down, this is, obviously just looking at it, that's where we've got some market acceptance. So it brings us back down to this, where we can say, all right, well, would that make sense from the 2 to the pivot up here? So if we're coming back down here where we've got all of this, which is relative to this, right? Now that would be deeper than you'd prefer it in an impulse, but considering the length here, if I recall, this was pretty close to the 2. Let's get this. Oh, pardon me. All right, look here. All right, wave 3, high probability zone for the wave 3. What do we do? Right, I mean, I say it all the time. It's just funny, right? So you see it and you're like, I'll be damned. Yeah, statistically, that's where you're expecting it to go. Right? People continue to be surprised by that. That's why I put them up there for you guys, right? So there's a strong candidate. So is that the wave 3? Absolutely for sure. Well, there's no absolute certainty here, but I certainly have a high probability zone here where I'd be anticipating that. The fact that we stall here. Right, well, now you're looking for it to come down. You're looking for 3 here, which potentially sets up something to get after that. And that's the trade you're hoping to set up. Bring this over here. Now we'd have completed the impulse off of the low. Now remember what that means here. So let's just clear all of this off. Let's get this all off. So if we were to go up and do that, right, it's not like you got to, cry yourself to sleep because you missed the move. Yeah, you missed part of it, but that's what you're expecting to come next. So don't feel like you need to FOMO into anything here, because pretty much everywhere you look, we're coming off of a 2-year bear market. So these moves, while they're encouraging, we can't definitively say we have a trend change in the alt space yet, not yet. And if we complete the impulse here, well, that's great. But the high, just like this is probable for the location of the 3, what's probable to follow is some retracement. So, and of course, where's the high probability zone for a wave 2? Right there. So again, don't FOMO here. Right? If this is going to be a trend change, there will be a retracement. Again, there are no absolutes in the market, but that would be probable. To just keep going off and just keep mooning without a retracement, possible, just not probable. Okay, guys, there you go. That should give you plenty to chew on there. And again, just to remind you guys, come on over here and have a look. Right, lot of promotion we're doing here. This will be the best pricing you'll ever see if going forward. You'll never see pricing like this again from us. All right, so if you're on the fence, now's the time to get off of it. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you later.